Hi, folks, and welcome to this presentation today. I'm Dr. Christine Sauer, and if you don't know me yet, you will get to know me in a little bit. I love doing those presentations to help people around all things wellness, health, weight loss, and later also other things. And let's get right started. I'll share the screen because I have a little presentation. I love making that fun. Let me fix it up so I can see a little bit more of you guys. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to be here. So today we are talking about how weight loss, brain health, and gut health all go together. Now, to start, I have to show this slide. It's a disclaimer because this content is educational only. It's not a substitute for medical or other professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please always seek the advice of your personal physician or other qualified healthcare provider for your individual condition before you do any changes in diet, exercise habits, take any supplements, or change your lifestyle, especially if you take pharmaceutical medications or have any serious health issues. That said, today I will tell you about and you will discover the 3 surprising root causes of obesity, being overweight, what really washroom anxiety means, and that is fun, an overview of the metabolic switch, what it is, and its role in weight loss, and how you too can rev up your metabolism so your weight melts away, even in your sleep. That fun. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? It isn't actually, it's fun. All right. And how does this all work? And why is it important to know all that? Because when you know what lies at the root of being overweight, and then you work to root out all the root causes, like a good gardener, not just snip up top of the weed, but really take out the whole weed and the whole plant that you don't want. And this makes sense to gardeners, I hope. Because then when you root out the root causes, your life will change for the better. I've done it, and this is on the left, a picture of me in 2005, and this is a more recent picture. And today I want to share some of what worked for me for the last 16 years. And this is what I now use to help others to achieve the same. And it's simple, practical, logical, and fun and relatively effortless once you get and implement it. And now you might probably wonder who I am. Now, I'm Dr. Christine Sauer. I'm a German-trained physician and a naturopath. I'm a gastrointestinal disease specialist. I'm an allergist, and I'm a certified brain health and mental health professional, brain trainer, and a passionate and dedicated health and life coach. I currently live in Halifax on Canada's beautiful east coast in Nova Scotia with my sweet husband, Mike, and our little Pomeranian dog, Rudy. He's a Pomeranian. He's 22 pounds. He thinks he's a husky, but really he's not. I call him the sparkle dog because my eyes sparkle for happiness whenever I see him, and he wags his little tail. But you know, if you saw me 18 years ago or so, you wouldn't have believed that this was me. Yeah, 2005, 315 pounds, huffing and puffing up the steps, and my big gut didn't even fit in armchairs in a restaurant. And you can imagine how embarrassing that is. I'm smiling in this image, but I wasn't happy. You may be able to imagine how miserable I really felt inside, and it wasn't good. I still remember that was actually in India where we went for weight loss surgery in 2006. We were sitting in an airplane and the stewardess was hollering along the cabin, "The lady needs an extension belt." And I felt so ashamed about being fat. I wanted to sink into the ground and never be seen again. It's no fun being obese, believe me. And if you are overweight, I understand what you're going through and why so many people want to lose weight. People around you still think you are ugly, lazy, and not able to work as well as other people. And all the big is beautiful, and it's not about size, self-talk. I tried to do that too. It just didn't work. Just like you, I had tried to lose weight before with different methods like diets, exercise, and everything they tell us, the experts, so-called experts. But it seemed that the weight always came back with a vengeance and a few extra pounds. So at some point, I finally switched on my own scientific brain, and I learned and discovered the weight-gut-brain connection. And when I finally learned how to turn on my metabolic switch, I literally turned on my metabolism. And this then switched off my hunger feelings and switched off my appetite for junk food. And these days I can go buy a piece of cake or chocolate and not even want it. And I also hired a great weight loss coach for added accountability and support. And you know what happened?
What?
Here it is. I lost 150 pounds over the next 2 years, and I kept off most of it, even now, for close 16 years it is, 17 soon. And today I want to talk about one very important aspect of the whole thing. The weight, or what do I say, but the weight-gut-brain connection, as I call it. But first, let me explain why losing weight and keeping off is so hard. And for those that are just coming on or that are on live, I will have time to answer questions later. You feel free to anything that comes to mind, type it in the chat box. I'll see you type it, and I'll answer it either during the presentation or a little bit after. Now, really, why is losing fat and keeping it off so darn hard? Have you asked that yourself? Probably. Why really are people gaining weight, and why are they staying overweight? Why is it so darn hard? Why do 90% of people that go on a diet fail in the long term? And look at our dogs. Many dogs just lay around all day and still are not necessarily getting overweight. What is going on here? What are we missing? What is my dog doing right and I don't? Let's look a little bit deeper. What we get told often is, well, it's calories in, calories out. You have to cut calories, right? I heard that a lot. And I asked myself, is it really just a matter of calories in and calories out? Let me ask you, what do you think? Does it make sense when 90% of people that try a calorie reduced diet fail? 90% of people that reduce their calories and increase the calories out by exercising, they still fail? Does it make sense? Okay, you could say, of course, our bodies are made to store food for a bad day as fat. So if we eat a lot, we get fat. And you would be right. But you also should know that nature has prepared us with a mechanism to reduce this stored fat and use it to fuel our metabolism and generate life energy. And there's very complex interactions in the body between our weight, our gut, and our brain. So when we are told to lose weight and fat, that all we need is to eat fewer calories for a longer time and our body will switch to the fat loss mode. It makes sense, but it's wrong and it doesn't work. And here's why. Well, if that would work, we all would have done it long ago, right? And honestly, most of us tried it, maybe even a few times, and we failed over and over again. And the truth is that our body has a weight thermostat. It's a mechanism that resets our metabolism to a lower energy level when it senses over a long time that the fuel gets scarce. It's a survival mechanism from our ancestors. It made a lot of sense, even just a few hundred years ago when food was scarce. And people that tend to be overweight have an advantage in evolution because they can survive on fewer food than people that can eat whatever they want and always are thin. So from biology level, it makes sense. It's a survival mechanism. And it makes us fat. So, but we can trick it, and I'll show you how. Another thing that I told us often is our genes. It's just in your genes. And you have to do some kind of gene therapy and turn off the obesity gene. Well, there's no such thing as an obesity gene. But we all know that kids and even some adults, they can eat tons of food, way more than most obese people. So there's something to it. And in many families, obesity runs in the family. And you might say, we are all overweight in our family. And you're right. The genes have something to do with your weight, but it's not just in your genes. Do our genes determine our body weight if there's enough food available? No, it's not that easy, because many people who have obese relatives and do have the genes, they are not necessarily big themselves, or vice versa. You know, your genes give you the tendency to gain weight easier than others, but it is the gene expression, the epigenetics, that is a bigger factor in your actual weight. And that gene expression, the epigenetics, can in turn be influenced by many other factors. And some people have said the genes load the gun, the environment pulls the trigger. And that actually makes sense in many other diseases too, not just with obesity. Now let's examine another myth. Lack of willpower and discipline. Maybe fat people really are lazy and undisciplined, as many say, and that's why they don't lose weight and keep it off. If that were true, would we all need more willpower, more discipline? What do you think? Is there such a thing as more willpower, more discipline? You know, people I met that are trying to lose weight are often the most disciplined hard workers I know. So when you look at the research of willpower, you will find out that it's impossible to have enough willpower, even for the best of us, to eat less over a long time. Willpower is limited, and it runs out sometimes during the day. There come the evening snacks. And to say to people, yeah, just get more willpower is similar, and that's where the picture comes in, to saying to a goldfish, just fly to the bigger bowl. Yeah, right. It's a bit like that with weight loss. They tell us all the things we should do, and they just don't work. And then we blame ourselves and feel down in the dumps and sad and depressed when we fail. And it's really not your fault that they don't tell you the whole story. So can we do anything about it? What really is the real reason we can't lose the weight and keep it off? And why was it in previous years that it was possible and people were not that overweight? There's a lot we can do, and there's a lot to it. So let's go on and explore the real reasons of obesity. And it's not lack of discipline or willpower. It's not just in your genes, and it's not just calories out and calories in. These all are important cofactors, but there's really real reasons behind it. And it's really three main root causes. One of them, very important, is inflammation. And you know, inflammation itself in turn can have many other root causes like processed foods, too many seed oils, food sensitivities, infections, autoimmune reactions, and even stress and too much exercise can cause inflammation. Now, inflammation by itself is nothing bad. We need it to repair our tissues. Just when it lasts for a long time and the body can't turn it off, that's when we get problems. And inflammation is an important topic, and I've made more videos about it, and I probably will make more videos about it because it's an important topic, not just for weight loss, but for many, many other chronic health issues, even brain and mental health issues, depression. So if you have any chronic illness and think it may be inflammation, you may want to talk to me about your options. Number 2 main reason, toxicity. We have added, well, humans generally, not myself, but contribute to it, of course, like we all do. We have added over 100,000 new toxins to our food supply and the environment in the last about 200 years. And you might have heard of obesogens, which are environmental toxins that act like hormones, and they influence our metabolism to hold on to excess fat, to get obese, and that's where the name obesogens come from. It's factors that make you fat that are in our environment and usually are man-made and added. You might have heard of one of the most famous, glyphosate, which is a Roundup ingredient, and it's now even in most baby foods and organic foods. Glyphosate is sprayed widely all over our environment as a herbicide, pesticide on food crops, even shortly before the harvest. It's in large amounts in conventional food, but some of it, the wind drives it everywhere. We can't really avoid it. Glyphosate ruins our gut microbiome because it is kind of an antibiotic. It kills the good microbes. But there are many other toxins that we introduce in our food, in our world, which block important enzymes, vitamins, minerals, and other cofactors. There's another root cause. Number 3, lack of nutrients. Now you may say, but I'm overweight, I'm obese. Doesn't that mean that I have too much nutrients, too much nutrition? Yeah. You know, it seems this way, but in reality, the opposite is true. And we are constantly learning new things about our brain. And we know that our brain has sensors for sugar, for glucose, for certain minerals. And I'm convinced that our brain also has other receptors or sensors that tell it whether we have enough nutrients, not just macronutrients like fat, proteins, and carbs, but also micronutrients like vitamins, minerals, amino acid, and many other substances that we desperately need, even though in just very small amounts. And it's only logical that if our brain senses that we don't get enough of any nutrients from our food, it lets us know, right? For example, if you were going on a Twinkie diet, like just eating cake all day, I think your brain would tell you in no uncertain terms, I am still hungry. This is a clay sculpture that a local artist, Nancy Rogers, made for me a few years ago. We called it the hungry brain. Isn't it great? It really shows how our brain craves eating. It is as if it is saying, I may have enough calories, but I didn't get the nutrients I need to function as required. Give me more. So what happens if we do not listen to our brain or if we misunderstand it and just keep eating junk food? If it is missing out on nutrients for a longer time, the brain eventually is forced to downregulate the production of molecules that help us to think and feel clearly. And we end up with brain fog, fatigue, anxiety, depression, mood swings, or even dementia or cancer. And what happens to the children of malnourished mothers like that? They may develop attention issues, learning issues, autism symptoms, or other issues that we currently just call neurodegenerative. Nobody tells you what the real reason is, right? They say it's genetic. It's not just genetic. Does it make sense? I think it does. And now let's go on and talk about what I call washroom anxiety. I see a lot of people with stomach issues, and many feel that they're chained to the washroom. And when they go anywhere, the first thing they do is check out where are the next washrooms, just in case. And I call that washroom anxiety. Now, we know that there are many causes for those sudden urges. We all know that the emotions of stress and anxiety can cause an upset stomach. You've heard of butterflies in your stomach, right? And most of us know the run to the toilet before a big exam or public speech. I myself, when I get nervous, I have to run before a speech. So stress and anxiety can make your gut upset. And we know also from many scientific studies that chronic emotional stress has a lasting negative change on our microbiome, the gut bacteria. But why can it happen that even in calmer moments, when all we want is to feel happy or maybe even romantic and not have pain in our stomach, why can it still happen that we have that sudden urge to run? Now, let me tell you a story. It's a little gory about my honeymoon in 1981 in Paris, when I experienced that gut-brain connection myself. My then husband and I were on a beautiful and supposedly romantic evening walk along the Seine River. I think it was in the middle of this bridge, actually, when I felt that familiar rumble in my stomach. I told my husband I gotta go back to the hotel. And at first he didn't get it, but I explained why it was urgent, and we aimed for the hotel, which was about 5 minutes away. Unnecessary to say, I didn't make it that far, and I was so grateful at that moment that I wore long pants. You can imagine. We made it to the elevator, up to the room, and I've never been in my life so grateful for a hot shower, the blessings of soap. Let me tell you, I hope this hasn't happened to you that bad so far. And since I do most of the things myself that I teach to my clients, it hasn't happened to me since. But why really do those things happen? And what was the thing that ruined our romantic moment? It sure did. Well, we know that certain foods can cause our gut to react angry and upset. It can cause food allergy, a sensitivity reaction, or an intolerance. And these are different kinds of reactions to food, and they are often confused even by doctors. And it is important to find out about them by first doing some detective work, and then maybe doing certain tests like a finger prick food sensitivity test or food allergy test, or even a short-term elimination diet. I've done this a lot when I was still working as an allergist doctor in Germany. And those reactions are different again from other things that can cause unpleasant stomach adventures, like reactions to certain medications. Antibiotics are best known for this, but did you know that certain antidepressants, many blood pressure drugs, and many other medications, and even some natural supplements can do it? So there again, more detective work is necessary. And of course, reactions can happen because of a pathogen or a germ, an unwelcome bacterial, viral, or fungal infection, or from a multitude of parasites. And all those can also cause unpleasant symptoms like gas, cramps, constipation, or the opposite, a sudden urge of diarrhea. And these infections, especially when they're chronic, can be found by other tests like the organic acids urine test. And occasionally, even a stool test may be indicated. And then we can use a natural antibiotic that also eliminates the biofilms. And biofilms can help certain organisms like the bad Candida yeast strains. They're good and bad Candida yeast strains. Not all yeast is bad. And those biofilms allow them to hide. And together with replenishing the microbiome and those natural antibiotics and pre and probiotic foods and supplements, this can also be fixed. But you all already see it's quite a process. And environmental toxins are harder to eliminate because they're often contained in processed and other foods. Many people notice that when they drink a lot of artificial sweetened pop, for example, they have to run. And foods that contain a lot of the pesticide glyphosate that I mentioned before can ruin your microbiome and lead to diarrhea. There's actually a supplement called glycine that can help us to undo this damage by crowding out the glyphosate. That said, all of these ways our stomach can get upset, they can be helped. They don't have to be chronic. And usually they can be helped with natural means, with a change in lifestyle, the addition to certain supplements, finding out what the root causes is, being a real medical detective. Now, let's get on to talk about the metabolic switch and how it can help us to lose weight and keep it off. So by now we've established how the gut and brain are intimately connected, and in the future presentations I'll go much more in depth on the anatomy and physiology, the structures of functions, on how the gut works and how we create the different neurotransmitters and how they work and much more. But now let's just find out how you can activate your metabolic switch to lose weight and inches around your belly, hips, thighs, and backside. But you might wonder, what is that metabolic switch? Is it like a light switch? And how can you activate and use it to lose weight and feel better at the same time? To fully understand that, let's go back. You know me, I like to deep dive. Let's do a little deep dive into the history of eating, of weight, and of food. Let's go into our imaginations. Imagine you're a cave woman or caveman about 10,000 years ago. How would you have gotten your food? There's no supermarkets around, right? You would have to go out, which means physically walking and either gathering roots and tubers or hunting and trying to catch an animal to eat. So let's say you go and hunt down a rabbit or a deer or even a moose. That gives you a big feast, and animal protein is one of the best proteins to nourish humans. We are omnivores. So you took home your rabbit, deer, moose, and the whole clan had a feast of it and got very well nourished of it. You would use all parts in some way, since it was hard enough to get the animal, and you had a whole lot of respect for your fellow creatures, even though you will be happy to eat it. So after this big meal, there often was a long stretch with no food, because there were no methods for food preservations, no fridges. Maybe you would dry some food, or in the winter you could freeze it. And later they developed the lactofermentation, very good technique. So what happened? You guess it? Nothing happened. You just ate nothing for a while. So for how long didn't you eat? How long didn't you eat? Well, as long as it took to find something more to eat. And it could have taken a few days, it could have taken a few weeks, you never knew. So during this time, Did you get weak? Did you get sick? Well, no. Think about this. If nature wouldn't have provided for us this ability to go for a long time without food, people would have gotten extinguished as a species long ago. So we are made to go for different times without foods. And there you go. The whole notion of having to eat 3 to 5 small meals a day has been proven to be historical nonsense. It's just not true, except for people that are on medications or have certain conditions. That's different. But for normal people, it's not true that you have to eat small meals or that you have to eat every day even. It's just not true. We humans have excellent mechanisms to keep our muscle strength and brain power while not eating anything for up to a year sometimes, actually. Well, that's extreme, but it is possible. It has been done. Now, I'm not saying that we should just not eat anything. It's possible, but it's not the best way to safely and healthily lose weight and keep it off. But if you are still thinking that not eating, or as we often call it, fasting, is horrible, or that it makes you weak or sick, please reconsider. This is just not correct. The human frame is made to go for periods of different lengths without food and to thrive while doing so. Our ancestors were very much thriving on what I like to call flex fuel. It's a modern term, yeah. Car makers think they invented it, but they didn't, because some cars can go on different fuels. But nature invented, like many things that humans thought they invented, nature invented it long ago. Food is a fuel we humans use to give us energy. And as cars can use different kinds of fuel, like electricity, gasoline, diesel, hydrogen, and nature has done it long ago. Our body runs very well on different fuels, like flex fuel, and has done so for many thousands of years. And the metabolic switch, by that I mean the mechanism that humans use in our modern time of food abundance to access the benefit of using flex fuel for our metabolism. So to switch our metabolism from one state, burning carbohydrates, sugars, to the other, burning fat. And when we want to lose fat, we want our body to burn our fat, right? Preferably our own stored fat, right? And to tell the body to switch into this fat burning mode, to lose our own excess fat, to eliminate food cravings, to gain vibrant energy, and also to lift brain fog and lift your mood and many other things. We need to activate our metabolic switch. And what activates the metabolic switch are periods when we are not eating, when we are fasting, just like our ancestors did. It's nothing new. It's nothing ultra modern. Science has proven it works, but it's really ancient. It's a natural way of activating fat burning for our metabolism. And when we do that, our body and our brain switch fuels from burning just sugars and carbs to burning fat. And we know that when we measure ketone bodies, or when our urine starts to smell like nail polish, acetone, which is a ketone. And the naturally produced ketone bodies are very efficient and clean fuel for our brain. And many people find that when they activate this metabolic switch, their brain fog disappears, they can think better, they have more energy and are in better mood and can focus better than before they switched fuels. Now, I also do not advocate for a continuous keto diet or artificial ketones without a very good medical reason. as this is not how nature intended us to be. I'm advocating for the metabolic switch, for metabolic flexibility as a better option. So this metabolic switching, running on flex fuel, or we can call it metabolic flexibility, it's very healthy for our body, and it translates into a higher metabolism, vibrant energy, better mood, better brain health, and of course, fat loss too. Now, some people feel afraid that they might feel very hungry when they start fasting or want to activate the metabolic switch, or when we don't eat for a while. And for some, that can be an issue, but there's many methods to help or eliminate this feeling of hunger. And after a few days of switching between sugar and fat burning, this feeling is completely gone, and it is replaced by a feeling of clarity, focus, and energy that can be quite addictive in a good sense. Oh, an additional bonus: when you don't eat for a while, when you fast, you also activate autophagy. Autophagy is a process where the body eats itself, but not in a bad sense like a vampire, but really what the body does, what autophagy means, is that the body cleans up the old and garbage cells. For example, the cancer cells that we all produce every day, and other old, faulty, and unnecessary cells. And this then makes space for healthy regeneration and new, better cells, and a better, higher, and more efficient metabolism. So activating our metabolic switch by periods of different lengths of fasting is a great way to induce the self-healing power called autophagy. And there's other ways to do that, like sauna bathing. And I love sauna bathing, but I'll talk about the benefits of sauna bathing more some other time. Now, that was a lot, I know. We talked about root causes, about why we sometimes need to run for the next washroom, and how to activate the metabolic switch by fasting. And there are many, many ways of fasting. A natural state, nothing fancy, and you can do all this without any special instructions or expensive courses, and it will rev up your metabolism. And I just wanted to invite you. I'm doing a 7-day challenge on how to start intermittent fasting in a safe and relatively gentle and easy way. And you are cordially invited. Did I mention it's free? And you even can win a prize. And I'll give you the link in the chat box and in the recording afterwards, and you can register for free, and make sure to share it with your friends, family, co-workers, and more. It's a great and free way to get started. And if you want to know how I see lasting brain-driven weight loss, how it works, I did a very nice presentation. Well, of course, I have to say that I did it, about the 4 pillars of lasting weight loss, where I explain exactly what you can do. And if you subscribe to my weight loss newsletter, it's the best option not to miss anything. And I'll even give you my book, The Effort Diet, for free. Oh, this is the effort diet. Don't you love the title page? And many of us do go with that same diet day one. I've removed all the bad food from the house. It was delicious. So again, I want to invite you to the upcoming 7-day Finally Thin Forever challenge on how to start intermittent fasting. It's free. You can win a full weight loss program, and it is a lot of fun, because I always say, if you want to lose weight and want to keep it up for any amount of time, it has to be enjoyable. It has to be fun. If it doesn't feel good, you won't keep it up, because your brain doesn't like things that are not fun, that are not exciting, and that don't feel good. That's a general principle for everything. And that's why we remember things that interest us, that make us excited, much better than boring facts. All right, so much for that. And now if somebody has questions, I'm very happy to answer anything. And the worst that can happen is that I can say, I don't know it either.
Christine, it's more of a comment than a question.
Go for it.
I've tried intermittent fasting in the past. And of all the different things over my lifetime when I've yo-yo dieted and tried to lose weight, that worked the best for me. And why did I stop? Life got in the way and got in my head. And then, then I'm thinking I know better than anybody or whatever. It's my body, me, I know what to do. I know what to do, but I don't do it.
That's a good point. We know what to do, so why don't we do it?
That's right. So
I have an answer for that.
The very first pillar, the mindset, I think that's probably the most crucial point of all for most people. Because
mindset is crucial, and pillar 4, support. Because many people do not have the right support.
Right, but even if they have support, if they don't have the right mindset, it will never work. I don't care what you do. I know
it's 4 pillars, and you know how it is with a desk with 4 pillars. If one is not there, the desk is not stable. The weight loss doesn't work.
Yeah, and so now listening to your presentation today has regenerated those thoughts in my head. Like, the only person who's responsible for how your life is going, physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, is you, the person looking in the mirror. And so it's personal responsibility. And that's the good news. The power is within me to make these changes. I need to work on my mindset, and that comes and goes. There are some days where I'm like all revved up and thinking positively, then something happens in my life and it throws me for a loop, and I let that to get in the way of my progress, my betterment, my feeling good, happy, and whatever. And I allow it to mess up my thinking. So the support, as you say, is also extremely important because it keeps me on track. And I know you'll always kick me in the butt. I may not like it and I might kick back, but that's
and
okay.
Support sometimes also mean asking the uncomfortable question.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's really true. So I just want to say thanks again, kiddo. This is good. And it helped me come back to center and realize, okay, all right,
you can do that.
What?
Just go back to the past, not to the future, and do like our ancestors did for 10,000 years, and only eat when you are hungry in our modern world.
Yeah,
really hungry and not eat for other reasons because it's.
You know what? I like to adopt that protocol from our ancestors and go forward and get out of my past. It's the past that screws me up. So
your past, but not the human's past, humanity as a whole.
No, I know, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So it's like positive, move forward. There will be days when it's challenging, but it's for you, isn't it? It's for me. And so it's this whole thing about self-worth, that I'm worth it. And this is important for my overall well-being. So, yeah.
Emily, do you have any questions or comments?
Sorry, you talking to me, Christine?
Yes, I wanted to see if you have any questions or comments. I love your Christmas tree in the background. It's
yeah, thanks. I did get to my goal weight about 3 years ago, and it was because I started getting my inflammation down. Yeah. And I did that with a little packet of Sauer. So
those are good. I like them. I have some here too. Where are they? Yeah. Let's make a little bit. So rain. So they're good. Black cumin seed, one of my favorite foods. because they are actually not just anti-inflammatory, but they help prevent cancer too. And it's proven scientifically, there's very good science behind it. So it's not humbug like many stuff. Alrighty, and that wraps up it today. Again, everybody's invited. Click on that link in the chat box, and I will put it in the recording, of course, too. And if you listen to that and it is a recording, it's on my YouTube channel, go click on the links below and register for future events. Most of them will be free. I also do workshops like the upcoming Havening workshop. If somebody feels stressed out or has a stress eating program, I actually teach how to do self-havening in a very practical approach, in a very hands-on approach, and you all will go away by knowing how to calm yourself down, knowing what to do when you feel stressed and down in the dumps, and that you don't need to start eating sweets and candy, which increases dopamine, but you can also do it with natural means like havening techniques and love and care for yourself and others.
Christine, that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. You put a lot of work into that, and I really appreciate you inviting me.
Thank you, Emily. I'm very happy that you came, and I'm very pleased to see that the registrations increase. So there's other people that appreciate it too, and I love doing what I'm doing, and I'm having fun, and that gives me a dopamine jolt, and so I don't need sweets anymore. And it's really true. Your brain will only do when it has fun. And that's why some people love computer games. They're very exciting. I train the brain of a young man, a coachee of mine. And you know what? He was very, he loved computer games, but everything else he didn't do, schoolwork and stuff. So then I told him about the most exciting computer game that you can play. And he looked at me and said, "What is that?" And I said, "It's called the game of life. And you know, your computer is right here in your head. It's called the brain." And when that clicked, his eyes lit up and he leaned forward and suddenly was interested. I like that. That's rewarding.
Yeah.
More people should play that exciting game of life instead of computer games.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, we are getting old. Have you watched Scrooge over Christmas? The old one with Alistair Sims, that's the best one. I don't like the other versions. I always love when he says, "I'm too old, I cannot change." And what a story of transformation is Scrooge. He meets the ghost of Christmas past, he meets the present and everything he did wrong, and he meets the ghost of the future. What will happen if nothing changes? Classic coaching.
Yeah. True.
Charles Dickens, he knew 1843 is when he wrote that classic piece. Every Christmas we watch the original Alistair Sims, A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
screenplay. All right. You have a wonderful day today. And in Germany, we say have a good slide in the new year. Not literally, but 2022 is nearly over. I hope it was a relatively good one. For many people, it was a hard year, just like the harder years before. I'm not sure what's to come. Nobody knows the future, but we can always hope. I always say that's the three values that never disappear. It's hope, faith, and love. If you have nothing but that, you're okay. And in that sense, a merry, happy 2023, I think you say in English.
Thank you.
Let's sparkle. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.